what we have seen in the last couple of weeks and months is that families have had more time to focus their minds on what really matters to them most. So basically, from a wealth planning perspective, this is about their families, their own family health, but also their assets on how to help those families. Some family members might need special needs, and some others might have as an objective to protect their wealth in a certain way, because whether the wealth is impacted in a certain way or not, it will depend a lot from many factors. The main factor is the country of residency of their owner, but also on other factors like, for example, the objectives of the family. If the family objectives are succession, there will be a planning different than if the objectives of the family is more to protect assets if something were to happen, like another crisis or other situation. Basically, with this new situation, we have seen families talking to us a lot about the different legislations the countries are enacting nowadays. They have been really focusing on issuing draft bills on certain topics, like, for example, some of the draft bills that were circulating in some countries in Europe, in Latin America, but also in Asia, are regarding increase of taxation in the sense of imposing a solidarity tax for certain wealthy individuals in order to overcome some of the effects that the crisis is posing to the countries. And this is something that, of course, concerns families, but also because countries lack borrowing capacity, and they might need in the longer future and in the longer term, if we talk about after Corona, they might even impose those legal measures only afterwards. Some of the families, they really think about how to structure their wealth. And structuring the wealth really depends on every family, on their needs, on the country of residency, on the legislation applicable, but also on the type of asset involved and its location. And families think about wealth structuring through, for example, just to mention some of them, life insurance, trusts, foundations, private label funds, companies, wills or other legal arrangements, and whether a particular structure will fit a family or not, it really depends on the factors I mentioned before. And some families are asking me, but actually, is it really necessary to have a wealth planning structure? And we always say not necessarily. I mean, there might be some ways to mitigate some of the risks a family had just by taking an informative decision on what are the options they have to move forward and to go forward with some family members, maybe some contracts, maybe they want to protect families who are in another country, they are living abroad, they might want to protect minors. So it really depends on what the situation is. Before Corona crisis, we have had many families who wanted to check their options in terms of which countries to relocate and where to live. And some of the primary factors and the driven factors those families have in order to relocate were, for example, the higher quality of life, and also the safety and the security that those countries provide, also the stability in legislation. And with COVID-19, we have seen that healthcare and infrastructure in those countries will become much more relevant nowadays, because families will simply like to be in a country where they can reach their doctors and the infrastructure than to travel across borders to really have a treatment or a specific need covered. first of all, succession planning is about how to transfer your wealth to the next generation in the most efficient way. And talking about efficiency, some families might wonder nowadays, shall I transfer my wealth now to the next generation, or shall I better wait and keep some of the assets because I need them and I keep the control over them and only plan afterwards to pass those assets? And this is a key question, because we have seen that despite of the crisis, how to answer those questions and how to plan for the next generation did not change at all. So we still have the same thoughts about it. However, what it really accelerated is the need for families to plan around that, because crisis poses a lot of challenges to them, also poses a lot of fears, and planning in a way that the wealth will be protected and will be not taken away is paramount nowadays.